Welcome to episode 42 of the David and Hillary Show, the episode where David comes back to the David and Hillary Show.
That's
Welcome.
right.
Welcome, Dave.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Well, you had a couple great interviews.
Thank you.
Patricia Patz
Yes.
and Claire Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Those were both really great interviews. I'm sure our viewers enjoyed them, and so I'm glad you got to do that. But
Thank you.
it's good to be back.
I had a lot of fun doing that, but it is fun to have you back.
Oh, thanks. Well, we recently grown ups with 5 kids, but they're all also grown up. They're all out of the house. We have nobody in school, and we decided we needed a fall break anyway. So we scheduled our own fall break, and we went to Gatlinburg and had a great time. And we're going to tell you all about it, including some really cool pictures and videos and some recommendations if you were to take such a trip. I think you're going to really enjoy it.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. So as soon as we come back from our intro, Gatlinburg. Here we go.
All right, let's do this.
Well, we did. We went to Gatlinburg and moreover the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and we spent a little bit of time in North Carolina, and it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
So,
And when you don't have kids and you're not on a school schedule, you can just pick any day you want. Be like, oh, no, it's fall break.
yeah.
You had adult fall break.
Well, we do have a lot of work and we didn't have tons and tons of time, but we just went Monday morning and came back Wednesday night. And it was great. There were more people there than I thought. I didn't
Right.
realize that fall is kind of after summer. It's kind of their busiest time.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of fall colors in the trees and in the mountains and stuff to see, which is really cool. And it's just always fun to be in that area, the mountains, the nature, and then come down to Gatlinburg. That's how we kind of do it in the evening. And if you like doing the touristy things, the shops and the restaurants and all that stuff, it's there. And
Yep.
if you want to do that, it's really fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of our favorite things to do.
Well, when we were trying to decide if we were going to do this, we kind of went over because the weather was going to be a little rainy. We weren't
Right,
we weren't going to be able to work anyway.
right.
And then once I got online and checked the rates on a room, I was like, what?
It was great.
Because uh,
A fraction.
a fraction of the cost. And I did a little research. It varies so much, whether it's a weekday, weeknight, or like peak season.
Yeah.
Apparently, nobody wanted to go the day we wanted to go, and we got incredible rates on that room. That was fun.
Well, also, not to get political, but these are just the facts. The U.S. government shut down. We're filming this
Right.
in November of 2025.
Hmm.
We went to Gatlinburg at the very end of October 2025, and I think a lot of people thought that the park was going to be shut down. Governor Bill Lee, governor of Tennessee, said that he was going to make sure that the park stayed open. Obviously, it's a huge tourism thing.
Hmm.
A lot of people would be losing a lot of money if people weren't coming over there
Right.
for, the attractions and things are a big pull, but also you got to go into the park. You got to just see
Right.
all the cool,
Right.
beautiful things
Yep.
in the park. And so we're thankful that he kept that open. And we were able to do pretty much almost everything we wanted to do. The other thing that was out of everyone's control was that it was rainy, it was overcast, and it
Hmm.
was kind of foggy. So we'll talk some more about that as we go through the trip. But
Yeah.
we did almost everything we wanted to do and at a reduced rate and had a great time.
Yeah. And I think that I actually really do like going when no one else is there.
Yeah.
I would rather go with a little bit, maybe like quote bad weather,
Mm,
so that everybody else just stays home. I
yeah.
just I just want the park. I would rather fight a little bit of bad weather and have more of the privacy. It was
Right.
really beautiful.
Well, and there's pros and cons with everything.
Hmm.
So that weather made some things harder in terms of being able to see and enjoy. It made some
Right.
things more difficult for my photography, which is one of my big hobbies, is going and taking pictures of beautiful things in nature. But it also created some opportunities for shots that were pretty spectacular that wouldn't be the same
Hmm.
if everything was just perfectly clear.
Well, and I know this is getting a little bit off track, but when we were in Yellowstone years ago,
Hmm.
I mean, there were some days it just felt like it was camper after camper after camper, and you're just like crawling through the
Yeah,
next place. Well, I'm like, oh, this
way
isn't even
too.
fun. It's too crowded. It's too
Hmm.
cramped. I just want to see stuff. I don't want to maneuver around everybody else.
Way
Maybe
too
maybe
much
that
of
sounds
your.
super selfish.
No, I
I
mean
I
it's
just want a national park to myself, people. Is that too much?
no, it's not too much, but way too much of your time is spent just on the road being in a traffic jam.
Right,
You can do that in Nashville. Why would
right.
you go to the mountains and do that?
Hmm.
So yeah, it was nice. Well, so we left Franklin and we headed over. It takes us about 4.5 hours, um, but we did stop at. Well, I mean, we kind of had to stop at Buc-ee's.
I mean, now that we have one, you can't just drive by and be like, "What? I don't need anything."
Yeah,
You telling me you don't need anything from Buc-ee's?
well,
I found stuff I didn't know I needed.
and that's a problem too.
Yeah.
But we've been once. Well, we've actually been twice before. But I'm not the world's biggest Buc-ee's fan. It's fine. I'm fine with it being there. It's fine that some people are really really into it. It's mostly kind of not my thing, but it is kind of a sight to see. It's
Right.
just absolutely huge. And if you want to go shopping for Western clothes or trinkets or camping gear or beef jerky or whatever, I mean, you can do it.
What
It's,
did I get? The peanut butter caramel. Oh my goodness.
yeah, peanut
I had to
butter
throw the rest of that out. I thought
coated.
I'm gonna eat this entire bag.
You couldn't
I
stop.
couldn't. I couldn't stop. I had to throw it away. I was
Yeah.
like, I have no self control. I can never buy this
I found a
again.
snack mix I like too. So I did find a couple things, and the gas is very reasonably priced. So that's great. We set ourselves a time limit,
Yeah.
and we did Buc-ee's and we kept going. So once we got to Gatlinburg, we went ahead and checked into our hotel. It wasn't dark yet. It was dark when I took these pictures later that evening. But one of the things we like about this, what is it?
It's quality in Creekside, downtown Gatlinburg.
Yes. So if you ever go to Gatlinburg, look it up. If you go during peak times, it's stupid expensive, just like everything else in touristy areas. But we got an incredible rate for off-peak time.
Hmm.
So this creek was already there, and when they built the hotel, they just kind of left the creek running through there, made allowance for it, and then our room was on the second floor, so that's kind of our view. Uh, and in the picture, you're like, whatever, bro. And when you're there in person, the human brain can just kind of like
Hmm. Take
block
in
things
so much
out.
more.
Well, take in more, but also like you're blocking out the building, you're blocking out the cars, you're just looking down and enjoying the water running through the
Hmm.
rocks, and you just are kind of blocking out everything else and enjoying the
Right.
the part that's cool about it.
Well, I didn't even tell you when I went in to check in. I I didn't really pay attention when I was reserving this. I didn't reserve a balcony room. I
That's right. You told me
accidentally.
that.
Oh, did I tell you that? Okay. Yeah, but she was so good to work with. And so when I found out I didn't have a balcony room, I was like, oh no, we've been here before, and we were really hoping to get a balcony room with a
Yeah.
fireplace, and yeah, and she was so sweet to just work it all out.
Well, thankfully it wasn't full, and she had the ability to do that, so
Hmm.
that was cool.
Taking care of my mistakes.
Yeah, there's a view straight down from the balcony at the creek, the Conte Creek, I think, or something.
That sounds right.
I forgot to write that down, but I think that's right.
Well, and you and I love waterfalls, and so to have a hotel room with a balcony with the water just rushing by. And
Yeah,
I'm sure it's depending on different seasons too, whether the creek's drier or more full.
yeah.
And so it had been raining for a while. I feel like the creek got a little more full
It got a little more full and a little more
yeah.
active as we were
Yep.
there. Yeah. Well, the rain falls and it hits the ground, and some of it soaks in and some of it runs. And this is just, um, your geology lesson. But it runs
This is for
into
free.
this little creek, which runs into this little bit bigger creek, which runs into this stream, which runs into this river, and eventually, it comes down. This is not in the mountains really. It's on the edge of the mountains. By the time the water gets there, it's probably run down a lot of places, and of course the rain that falls right around there.
Hmm.
But it's yeah, the longer we were there, the more water was in it because it was kind of misty and rainy
Hmm.
a lot of that trip.
Yep.
But yeah, we had a great time. Well, we headed out because it was not dark, and so let's start that over. Technical difficulties so that I can describe this and then find a way to edit it back in later. So we had enough light that we knew we could probably do the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail, which starts pretty close to Gatlinburg,
Hmm.
and it's maybe an hour if you go through and stop a couple times and see a couple things. And so we thought, well, there's enough light to do that, and
And we know we like it. We've done
we know
it
we
at
like
least a
it.
couple times.
Yeah, this is probably our third or fourth time doing it. So anyway, we get out there and we get going down this trail, and we don't get very far,
Hmm.
and there are cars stopped, and we're not sure why. And then as we get closer, we see this. So there's a mama bear and a baby by the side of the road, and they're just foraging. I don't know if they're eating roots or grubs or what, but you can see them kind of pawing the leaf litter away, and you can see them chewing whatever they found. But it's so cool.
To be that close, you roll down your window. I think, okay, well, how fast could we roll it back up?
That's the thing.
But they're not. I mean, typically the black bears don't come charging at you, especially if you give them their space, and
Yeah.
they're very used to people driving by, especially if people are respectful about it. So,
If you're in the Smokies and you see black bears, don't freak out. But it's always good to keep some distance and to just not make any threatening motions. You want to make sure that if there are a mama and babies, you don't get in between them.
hmm.
Um, we'll tell you a little bit later about other sightings of bears even on this trip. You just don't want to ever take it for granted. We've been places like Yellowstone and the Smokies and seen people do risky things where
Hmm.
they kind of think, oh, these animals are so tame, we should
Right.
just go pet them. Don't do that. Don't be an idiot. People die in national parks every year.
Hmm.
Some fall off of cliffs. Some um, have interactions with animals that don't end well. Just it's kind of amazing to be that close and to be all involved in um, the whole nature thing. But you have to be smart, and you have to remember that the wild animals are wild, even if they don't always act wild. So
Well, and you're also putting the animal at risk too,
exactly,
because if you do something and then the animal, reacts and
yeah,
attacks you, somebody's going to have to go find that animal and probably put him down.
that's right.
And that wouldn't have happened if you had just obeyed the rules, stayed your distance,
Yeah,
and yeah, had some common sense.
right. So be an adult and make good choices.
Hmm.
So we drove a little bit farther and we saw another. Well, we have actually two videos to show you. We're having some technical difficulties here, but in the one video we showed there was a line of cars waiting to see the bears, and then actually there was a motorist in the back of the. You couldn't really go around, and somebody got irritated and started honking,
Yeah.
and so finally the lady in the front moved, and they were facing us, and as she went past me, she said some not very nice things about the person and
The
honked. I
person
think she
honking.
she wanted to still see the bears,
Yeah. And that's
but
really common in national parks, especially if you're in a long line, like I was teasing about the campers at Yellowstone. But if you're in a park and you see everybody kind of slowing down, usually they're pointing, and they're trying to show everybody, hey, look what we see up here. And it's so fun. That's why you're there. You're there
depending,
to see the show.
yeah, depending on where you are, it could be anything from a bear to an elk to an eagle to
Hmm.
whatever wild things are there.
Yep.
So yeah, so when you see everybody stopped and looking, see if you can see what they see.
Yep.
Here's just a still picture of the one of the mama bears, and I did not have my good camera out. It was packed away. We were driving. I was thinking we'll stop when we see cool scenery, and I'll get my camera out and we'll do it all. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have it like super handy. It's a terrible picture, but it's just amazing. Even though we've done it a few times, to be that close and to get such a good picture.
So can I say, I don't know if we said this about the bears, but we hadn't been on the trail for maybe less than 10 minutes, and we saw a mama, two babies, and then went a little further, saw a mama, two babies, and then saw the juvenile. So like seven bears within
The juvenile was off
15.
the road. We didn't get a picture of that. He acted like, I don't know, was he or she? The bear acted like it was going to climb a tree and then
Oh yeah, yeah.
gave up and just didn't. But anyway,
Yeah, I was glad he was a little further away. He was a lot more active.
well, and the babies were kind of spread out. So in the videos, you saw a mama and a baby and a mama and a
Hmm.
baby, but there were other babies nearby
Yeah,
that were out of frame. So
it
so
was
we
so
saw
cool.
seven bears in probably 20 minutes after we left the
Hmm.
hotel.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yes.
Because there's some years you
Yeah,
just don't see any.
right.
So yeah.
Well, so here is kind of what we saw. We were looking for fall color. We were looking for just really cool stuff in the woods. And so my first scenes that I saw, I was like, I don't know, this is cool, and you can tell it's foggy. So it was fun to take that, and then we drove a little further, and I saw this, and I was looking for oranges and reds, but the yellows were really beautiful, and then the contrast with the tree trunks. And here at this one stop, I took several different shots. I'm not going to show you all of them, but there are different ways that I framed it up to just show the sites that were available. And I think these are really cool. They're not exactly what I was looking for. But one of the lessons on this trip was it's fall. They say peak color in Gatlinburg. It changes every year, or in the Smokies, but it's usually between late October, early November. And that's when we went. And we get, early on, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so foggy. I'm seeing yellows and greens, and that's it. That to me, having grown up mostly north, far enough north where there were a lot of maples and oaks, and
Hmm.
Hillary grew up in Michigan to
Lots of
see,
reds and oranges.
yeah.
Hmm.
So that's what we were hoping to find. But I just had to say, hey, take what the game gives you. So if you see beautiful stuff that's not exactly what you were looking for, take a second and try to capture it.
Hmm. And it's beautiful in its own way.
Yeah. So here's a vertical one of, again, similar. You can see some evergreens in there.
And you could see the oranges and the reds peeking out in the back.
There's a little bit in the background there in the upper
Hmm.
part of the picture you can see.
Beautiful.
Here's another frame. It's kind of cool. There's kind of like two main trees on each side of the picture there. But it's getting late in the day and it's foggy. Well, that's what I want to talk about for a second too. They call them the Smoky Mountains because sometimes it looks like there's just smoke coming out of the mountains
Right.
or
Right.
hanging off of the mountains, so to speak. And nobody knows for sure exactly what causes it, except that they are at some elevation, and so when the weather's right, you kind of have low clouds. You can have fog anywhere. You can live somewhere super flat and
Hmm.
get up, and the weather people are telling you, be careful, there's fog. Don't be careful on the way to work. But it's just that it has a certain look to it, and it's really cool. So it feels weird to call it smoke because it's not smoke.
Hmm.
So I have a tendency to call it fog. I call these the foggy pictures, the
The cloudy
foggies,
mountains.
the foggies.
The Smokies. Well, and we have never been there before when it was consistently so foggy.
Right.
I mean, I don't remember a time. We've been there when it's been very rainy, but not necessarily
Not as
foggy.
foggy as it was this
It
time.
was very hmm, what was mysterious? That's the word. It was very
Mysterious.
mysterious.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's a fun picture. I'm out taking pictures and I turn around and you've put the sun roof open and
Yeah.
you're looking up at the trees and seeing the sights from your own perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I think I didn't want to be out. I think you were just grabbing a quick picture, but I was like, man, I just want to see better. And so I thought, well, I'll get up and look out.
Well, the Roaring Fork Motor Trail is one way, and it's not that wide.
Yeah,
So the very first part is two way, where we were showing you the bears. But once you get into it, it's one way, it's one lane, and you can't pass people. And so again, there weren't a lot of people out. But when we saw something cool, I would put it in park, put the flashers on, and leave it running. And Hillary stayed in the car, and then I would take my pictures and then hop back in and keep moving.
yeah,
But I always wanted to park in such a way that nobody was going to come around the corner and crash into me. I want to make sure there was enough of a straightaway they could see me, and I was keeping my eyes and ears open that if anybody came, I'd have to hop in and get going pretty quick. But I think anytime just that there's just that base safety instinct with the cars running, you're like, well, you can get out, but we're not both getting out.
Well, and there's also pull-offs occasionally where you could, isn't there on the Roaring Fork?
Well, there are overlooks.
Yeah,
There are
and
overlooks
so
that you can pull out. I said there's no passing, but
people can pass at that point,
yes. But if you're not pulled off on an overlook,
right?
you have
You
to
just have
just
to
wait.
honk and then say bad words.
That
That's what you
seems
do.
to
That's what
be
you
what
do.
people do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't recommend it.
Well, we kept going, and here was an overlook, and I took this picture to show what it was like that late that Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You can see all the stuff in the foreground, and there are fall colors, and that's great. But here's your overlook, and what do we see? Nothing. Fog. Smoky Mountain smoke.
Yep.
That's it. So it's a terrible picture, but it's just kind of a fun document,
Yeah.
documenting what we were seeing.
Visibility was very low.
Yeah. Well, and then we come around a corner, and here, even though it's super foggy, you can, oh, well, I'm seeing more color. So I was hopeful that we would actually see some stuff that was worth worth taking. Well, there actually weren't a lot of great opportunities after that. We drove quite a while, and then eventually came to this bridge, and you can see how foggy smoky it is, and
And also from one picture to the next, you can see how dark it's getting. Because
it's
we
yeah,
we went, the time change had already taken place, so it was going to get darker sooner
yeah.
on the clock. And yeah, we knew we were kind
I
of
don't think the time change
chancing it a little
had
bit.
taken place yet,
You
but
don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it was definitely at this point. This was maybe 10 or 15 minutes after that last picture.
Okay.
We decided to just enjoy the views and not stop every 5 seconds because I kind of knew this was further down the trail and that I was going to want to stop there if I got a chance. When we had done this years ago, there's a creek running through. It's actually the Rushing Fork, um, the Roaring Fork, excuse me. We're on the Roaring Fork Motor Trail. This branch of water, whether it's a creek or whatever they call it, is the Roaring Fork. If you look at it on the map, it just says Roaring Fork. It doesn't say creek, river, whatever. And I knew that it was going to go under this bridge and that there might be a photo opportunity here. It was in the back of my mind from previous trips.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I got to leave time for that. So this is what it looked like when we got there. So we drove across that bridge and there was a place to park. But as we went across the bridge, this was the view. And I was, okay, well, that's cool. I wish there was a little more water, but take what you can get. So we went across the bridge. There was a pull-off
Yep.
where you could park. And then I said, I'm going to go back and see what I can do to get photos here. Well, actually, let's show this video. So I'm walking back across the bridge and I'm thinking, where am I going to set up in order to get the best picture of this? I'll call it a creek, the Roaring Fork Creek. And I thought, well, kind of right down there somewhere looking upstream is where I want to be, but how do I guess I'm going to have to go down this kind of steep embankment over here, but I think I can do that. I've navigated those types of things before, and then I'm going to have to be all the way up over next to the bridge in order to get a really good view. In fact, I may need to go under the bridge if some of these rocks are high enough and out of the water when I get down there.
Because it wasn't particularly warm, right?
No,
The temperature wasn't super warm.
I
Not
mean, it
that you
wasn't
would,
crazy. It was probably 50s.
yeah, but not that you're like, I'm so excited to get in the water.
Well, I
You don't.
do, yeah, I do take with me on trips like this water shoes where I'll take off my boots, my socks, put on
Mm-hmm.
water shoes, and I'll wade in the water. I've done it when it's cold before too. I'll do a lot for the shot.
I know.
I try to be safe, but I want to get the shot. So anyway, I'm figuring out exactly what to do there and how to do it. And thankfully, when I got down there, there were rocks out of the water under the bridge that I could climb on and that I could set my tripod up on.
Nice.
And I could do what I wanted to do. So while I was down there under the bridge figuring all that out, you had told me, oh, hey, it looks like there's some cool cabins or something up here.
Right?
I'm going to check that out. So tell everybody what you did while I was doing photography.
Yeah, I didn't really remember seeing those cabins before. That's always the joke. You always want to go find a waterfall. I want to go find an old building.
Yep.
And I love to
Why do you
explore.
love those so much?
I don't know. I don't know. I just love them. And I think a lot of people do. I think there's something about an old building that maybe just stirs up my imagination. Like, hey, people used to live in this building.
Mm.
Who were they? What did they do? Was this a happy place? Was this a sad place? What was life like? Also, I think too, anytime you have historical buildings like this, you just think that was an entirely different time of life. We have
Yeah.
so many, what do you call it? Like luxuries or uh, like indoor plumbing.
Right. What was a completely different
It
lifestyle?
was. But as much as I don't want to go back and live that life,
Right.
I like to imagine what it might have been like. Because in some
Sure.
ways, it was simpler. And I do like simple. Uh, no cell towers here, right? But
Yeah.
also a lot of hardships too, I'm sure. But I do like I just love old buildings.
Well, there's pros and cons with everything. I occasionally will be in a conversation with someone and they'll say, I think I would like to go back in time and be a homesteader.
Hmm.
And I always tell them, no, you don't. You don't want to do that.
You
Or
probably like Chick-fil-A more than you think you do.
or some people have even said, I would just like to buy some land and go off grid. And I'm like, well, if you try that, let me know how it goes. But I don't think you really want to because
I think
it's
it's hard.
such a hard life.
And I
Such a hard life.
also, I guess maybe I have a lot of respect
Yeah.
because I know that whoever lived in these buildings, they had a hard life and
Yeah.
and they worked and they struggled
Hmm.
and they provided. And I mean that's what we're all trying to do, right? Every day.
Yep.
And people have hard lives now, but it's a different kind of hard, I think.
I like driving around and seeing nature and seeing stuff like this and taking pictures of wild natural things. And then I want to go back to the hotel and get a hot shower
Right.
and sleep in a warm bed that's protected from the weather.
Yeah. I want a patio and I want my fireplace and I
Yeah.
want to, yep, go get some ice cream.
Well,
Um,
this is cool. You got, like a cabin and a barn and
yeah, there were a couple outbuildings on this property. And also, like we said, we've never gone and done this trip just without any kids, which
right.
I mean, I love having the kids with us. But this was like a time for me to just wander and not worry about where anybody else was. I didn't have to keep anybody safe.
Right.
Just, I mean, I'd keep you safe, but you were doing great.
I mean,
So
you let me go under the
I
bridge all
know,
by
well,
myself.
you didn't ask, but it was fun just to kind of do my own thing and just wander and take a few pictures. I was trying to impress you with my pictures.
You did.
I'm
No,
not
you
a,
did.
I'm
I
not a
really
very
like.
good picture taker.
No, you're getting better. I really like this picture and the next one where you are looking out from inside. That's a cool shot.
Thanks. I
That's
was
really
trying to
cool.
impress
You were
you.
imagining being a pioneer,
That's right.
and
It was
yeah,
different perspectives.
you think it's bad at 50 degrees. Just think what it would be in January in that
Oh,
cabin with those cracks in
I
the walls.
know.
When they put these things back together and display them, I wondered. I mean, surely they had chinking or something.
Right. Something.
Yeah,
Nobody's leaving big holes like that. That's ridiculous.
probably not. Probably not. Well, while you were doing all of that, I was under the bridge
Like
and
a troll.
like, yeah, sure, I'm
Mm,
the photo troll.
mm-hmm.
Okay, that's such a complimentary picture.
I did not tell you to go under the bridge.
Well, I tell you what was the worst part of being under the bridge. I was under there. It was a little crazy. The rocks are round. I got my tripod set up. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't slip, it doesn't move, that I get the photo framed up the way that I want, that I get the exposure that I want.
I know what you're going to say.
What am I gonna say?
It was the sound of the cars going over the
Yeah.
bridge. It scared me.
Well, did it?
And I was over by the homestead. I was like, "What is that noise?" It was horrible.
Oh my gosh. Well, I couldn't hear them coming. I couldn't see them coming. I'm really enraptured in what I'm doing. The
Yeah,
creek is making really great creek noises, and
yeah.
I'm just like, I'm zoned in. And then out of nowhere with no warning, boom, 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 when the
I know.
car comes and hits that wooden bridge, man, it felt
It was so loud.
that the whole world was going to cave in on me.
Yeah, I thought of you when I heard the noise.
It
It
was
scared me.
something. Well, all of that was worth it. I thought, here's the photo that I got of the creek, all those moss covered rocks. And I like to do, if you haven't seen me talk about this before, I'd like to do the um, time release photos so the shutter's open and it captures the movement of the water, kind of gives it a silky look.
It's
I
beautiful.
think that's really artistic. I would rather do that than have a really fast shutter speed.
And the pops of orange and yellow.
Yeah,
It's
the
beautiful.
leaves in there.
Hmm.
And then I took a second one that was kind of zoomed in, a little bit different composition.
Beautiful.
Got a little more water to rock ratio there. But that was fun. And it was exciting for me to be able to get water photos on day one. I didn't know if I would be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, well, then, excuse me. Then I climbed out and we got back in the car and drove not very far, and I saw some more really cool stuff. And I said, man, I gotta try to get a few more photos before all the light is gone. The way I post process these, it looks like there's a little more light than what there actually was. But I love the tall, skinny trees and the colors.
You know, these pictures are making me like homesick to go back.
Yeah,
I'm like, it was so beautiful.
it was.
So beautiful.
It was that. And now here is from a technical standpoint in terms of photography. When we used to shoot with film, if you used a certain type of film, if you shot in low light, you would get, they called it grain. You would get a very grainy look.
Hmm.
And there was just kind of no way to overcome certain factors that would give you grainy shots. Now with digital, it's the same thing, but they call it noise for whatever reason. I guess it's got to be different because it's technically a different process of capturing the image. And so at this point, not only was it foggy, but it was really low light. And these newer cameras, you can shoot with a higher ISO. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. But it's like a different film speed that allows you to capture images a little bit better in low light. But if you really look at this picture, that's got a lot of noise in it or a lot of grain. And that's because it was getting pretty dark, even though it doesn't look like it. So I think it's still a cool shot. It would be cooler if it didn't have as much noise. But you work with what's available. And here's a different angle at the same stop with those little evergreens and still the big rocks. I just thought it was cool. I was trying to capture whatever I could there before we had to call it a day. And yeah, so that was it for that. We drove a little bit further, and there's a place near the end of the trail called the Place of a Thousand Drips,
Hmm.
and it is a place that very often doesn't have any water flowing over it. There has to be a fair amount of rain before it gets very much water, from what I've heard. And then when there's a lot of water, there are a lot of little waterfalls and drips and things.
1,000 of them, apparently.
Well, that's what they say.
Yep.
That's what they call it. And so I was kind of excited when we started out on the Roaring Fork Motor Trail trip this time. I hope I get that rushing creek and I hope I get place of 1,000 trips. Unfortunately, and I'm not complaining, but it's just the way it worked out between the bears and all the other cool stuff that we saw. By the time we got to the place of 1,000 trips, it was like 1,000 points of darkness. It was the opposite of whatever President Bush said back in the day. And I actually set up the tripod and tried to get a shot, and it was so bad I refused to show it to anybody, and it kind of disappointed me because again, those were those two things that I had put in the back of my head. Like someday we're gonna come back here, and I want to get the water shot here, the creek, and then I want to get place of 1,000 trips, and so I got 50%.
Well, another
But
reason to go back.
another reason to go back. It was fun. It was very fun though. So end of the day, we headed back to Gatlinburg, and I had seen this restaurant as we were going through, and so I picked the first night, you picked the second night,
Hmm.
and so I did not take this picture, but it's the Blue Moose Burgers and Wings.
Right.
I found that picture online, and I love it because it's raining, and it was raining when we went. But
That's so funny. I thought maybe you did take that picture. I thought it was a
well,
great picture.
it's a great picture. I did not take that. I couldn't find who did. I can't give him credit, but I want to be honest and say that I took it off the internet because well, we recommend the restaurant.
Yeah, it was great.
So
Good food.
we shared a gourmet burger and some wings
Hmm.
and onion rings, and yeah, it was good. It was comfortable,
It's good food.
and it was kind of a sports bar atmosphere. There were some games on. It was Monday night. I think Monday Night Football was on.
And it's nice too. It's kind of atmosphere where we were still in our hiking clothes. We were not
Oh yeah,
dressed up at all. We just
nobody
trudged on
cares.
in. Nobody cares.
Well, it's kind of that way in Gatlinburg anyway.
Yeah,
There are some fancier restaurants, but a lot of the places there, they
they know.
know that you've
You're
been,
out hiking all day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they don't care. If you've never been, just, man, when you go do the woods and then go back and get a nice meal somewhere, nobody cares how
Hmm.
you're dressed. It's no
Yeah.
big deal. Well, what, after we ate, we headed back to the room, and this was not a fancy room, but it was cool that they have a fireplace in the room.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, we had stayed there once before, so we knew that. So not only did it have a balcony and the creek, and it was convenient. It's right downtown. So if you are gonna be before or after you're staying there for the night, if you want to go somewhere for breakfast or dinner or whatever, a lot of places you can walk.
And
It's
for
really cool.
sure, there are much more elegant, expensive
Well,
places to stay. This is an older facility,
yeah,
and you can tell that. But
yeah.
I mean, we liked it, and
It's clean. I told you I wasn't gonna really get into the pricing. I think we checked into it. We were gonna go over once. It was more like peak season, and I think
hmm
they were asking like three something a night.
hmm
And on the back of the door when we were there this time, it said like Monday through Thursday it was four something, and on the weekends it was 500 a night. I don't know if they ever actually charged that.
right, right,
You wouldn't think that a room like that would be worth it, but it's kind of like real estate, location, location,
right.
location. So it wasn't fancy. We paid less than $100 a night because
Hmm.
it was off season. It was like no brainer.
Yes.
And it's not fancy, but we love where it is. We love the creek. We love the fireplace.
Hmm.
So it was a good time.
Yeah.
Well, next morning we got up, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the next morning, and I think we're going to continue this on to the next episode because we did so much and we had such a great time, and we ended up with some really great pictures.
Yeah.
And we'd like to
Yeah.
encourage people to go check it out. Um,
I want to go back now. I seriously, I'm
I
like,
mean,
what are we doing this weekend? Oh, we have plans.
it's such a great,
But it
such a
was.
great place to go. So the next day was kind of foggy off and on, but here's a view from the balcony during the daytime with the fall colors and all. It was really great.
Beautiful, beautiful.
But here we are. We went back into the park, and you kind of got to get a shot by the sign, right? If you go, you want to pull over and take 5 minutes and get a shot by the sign. Thankfully, another family was doing the same thing, and we took pictures of them with their phone, and they took a picture of us. So that
That's
was
the other
really
thing
cool.
about national parks. The nicest people.
Yeah,
Like, It's so fun. And you figure anybody that's there, you're probably already friends.
You just don't know
You
each
just
other's
haven't met
names
yet.
yet. Well, here's a picture of me on the side of the road. Once we got into the park, it was foggy, and I got my camera on a tripod. I've got an umbrella. And you're like, what in the world? I thought this would be a great shot with the curve. There's a curve that goes, the road comes from left to right. It curves back to the left, then it curves back to the right. You can't really see that part from there very well. And I thought it's so overcast and foggy that I bet if I set the camera up just right and take an extended shot, that I'll be able to capture taillights of people going through here
Mm-hmm.
because there were a few people in the park, and every few seconds somebody would go by, sometimes 3 and 4 cars at a time. So I tried to set it up to get the longest exposure I could get, because I've done this before. They're called light trails, where you keep the shutter open, and as the vehicle moves through, the vehicle becomes a blur, but you see the lights.
Right.
And I've taken pictures like that other times, other places, and had them turn out really well. But usually it's at twilight, where overall it's much darker. And so I thought, oh, I bet I can pull this off during the daylight. I've got a filter that makes it look darker than it is. It didn't really come out, but I wanted to show it to you anyway because I love the richness of the colors. I mean, I got everything I was looking for. If you look right above the road at the curve, you can see the red lights showed up a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
not as a continuous trail, which is what I was going for. So, you don't know if you don't try. But that's what I learned. Probably going to have to be almost dark to get light trails to
Yeah.
to really come out. Well, then we drove some more, and I saw a scene that I really liked, and I said, "Oh yeah, I got to get that." I love the smoke in the mountains, the Smoky Mountain smoke, or the
I didn't
Foggies, as I say.
I didn't think we were gonna get through the whole park that day because we kept stopping.
Yeah, well,
Every time you turn a corner, you're like, okay, that's beautiful too. We gotta stop. And I'm not teasing you. I am teasing you a little bit, but it was true. Like every time we would turn a corner, we're like, oh, that's a beautiful shot. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. It was just full of
well, yeah,
beautiful scenes that day.
it was. Two things I want to say about that. One of the rules for photography is, especially nature photography or street photography, where the scenes are constantly changing. When you see something you think that you want, you have to take it, because you go, well, I'll come back and get it later. You probably won't, because the conditions will change, the lighting will
Mm-hmm.
change, or if it's a person or an animal or whatever, they're probably not going to be there. So if you see something you want, you got to get it. The second thing I want to say about that was, on this trip, there were, for every 100 opportunities, I stopped twice. So you were like, we're never going to get through it because we don't stop stopping. And I'm like, we're hardly even stopping. But this one was a great scene, and I was like, I gotta get this. And you were just such an amazing wife and helper and photo assistant. You willingly grabbed the umbrella, and the thing was, the best angle for this shot was in the middle of the road.
Right. I
And
was trying to help you not die.
in this part of the park, it's a 2-lane road, and so we would go out to the middle of the road and try to frame up the shot. And I'm trying to turn my circular polarizing filter to get the best lighting and to get the best frame up, and to for the first, I took like a dozen shots here. For the first 3 or 4 or 5, I'm trying to check all my settings and make sure, is this really the way I want to shoot this?
Mm-hmm.
And then a car would come, and we'd have to, I would see him and say it, or you would see him and say
Yeah, I
it,
was
and
holding the umbrella, and I would just keep my head on a swivel, like, oh, car to the front, oh, car to the back, and then we would know which direction it was coming, and we would get off to the side, and then we had to
yeah.
go back out, set it all up.
It wasn't a deep ditch, but we literally would just go off the road and stand in the ditch while people
Yeah.
drove by. Some of them would slow down, some of them would pull away from us a little bit, and some of these jokers would like speed up and get as close to us as they
Mm,
could, I think. So there you go.
locals.
Takes all types. But eventually, this is the shot that I got, and
It's
just
beautiful.
really love the the smoke in the mountains and the fall colors. This was the type of shot that I was hoping to find. And so that was
In the middle of the road.
in the middle of the, hey, whatever it takes.
That's right.
And we didn't die.
We did not.
So thank you for your help with
You're
that.
welcome. Oh,
Well,
gorgeous, gorgeous,
all right. Well,
gorgeous.
they're not seeing it yet because I got to set it up.
Wait till you see it.
Well, we kept driving through the park and then we found another pull off. And again, I was like, oh, I got to stop for this one. So we stopped. And then there was another young couple coming the other way. And they got out. And uh, I said something like, wow, amazing view, right? And the guy said, best view in the park. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm not going to be a smart aleck, but I'm like, you've been everywhere in the entire park, and you know this is the best view or the best view today. He said, we just came down from Klingman's Dome, which was supposed to be the best view in the park, and it's so foggy that high up that you can't see anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he said, this is the best view I've seen all day. And so we took their picture. I think you took their picture
Mm-hmm.
with their phone. And then when they kind of cleared out, then I, again, took 3, 4, 5 shots to try to get the best settings and the best of everything. But this is the shot. And I don't know what the name of the pull off or the overlook was. Some of them are named. But yeah, that's a pretty good view.
I think this one said best view in the park.
That's the best view in the park pull off.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should make a sign and put it up there.
We should
It's
take
like reverse
signs,
vandalism.
take signs and post them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like how there's evergreens there, but if you really look, you can see some color sprinkled in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty cool. Well, we did try to go up to Klingman's Dome, and it was just absolutely covered with fog. And the other part was,
Nice gift shop though.
yeah, um, I had to actually bail, which was embarrassing. But I was coming down with something and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And it was affecting my lungs, and I couldn't really climb at altitude like that. I would walk a few feet and just stop. And I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated it, but you know, you kind of got to know your limitations. You don't want to end up in the hospital or whatever.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in the middle of a national park. You don't know how long it's going to take somebody to come get you. So,
Right. Well, and how nice that there's so much of the park you can just drive and pull off and just get out. You're right there.
well, there's so many
So
beautiful
many.
things to see. So we still, and Klingman's Dome is now called Kuwohi or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. They
Yeah.
changed it to a Cherokee name. So uh, we'll have to do that another time. I still want to do it, but
Yes.
we still haven't seen it. Well, when we were most of the way from Gatlinburg through the park to Cherokee, North Carolina, which is on the other side, we saw these guys and had to pull over and park and get out. There were probably a total of 7 or 8 elk.
Yes.
Yeah.
If not, maybe slightly more.
Well, they were cool and they
Mm-hmm.
kind of cooperated in that a lot of people got out. I never did turn around and get a picture of how many cars and people, but it wasn't a lot of places to park. There were probably 12 or 15 people at any one time that
Well,
were out with mostly with cell phones trying to get
mm-hmm.
photos.
And people came and went. People,
Yeah.
if people that were not us, they would they would come, look, and leave.
Yeah.
They're not as dedicated as we are.
And I will say, on this one, you were as interested as I was.
Oh, I mean, I enjoyed all of it. I wasn't frustrated with any of your photography. I mean, I think that just even being in nature is so soothing,
Mm.
and it was just so beautiful. And also, I brought my snacks and my drinks, and if I didn't want to get out, I just sat in the car with the window down, and I had a wonderful time, just clearing my head, seeing beautiful things.
Yeah.
I had a great time. This stop also had a lady because the elk they were kind of close to us, and the one kept getting a little closer and closer.
Yeah.
And she said to me, if he gets any closer, I'm gonna touch him. And I
That's what
didn't,
we were talking about
I
earlier.
know.
It's such a bad idea.
It's such a bad idea. And I didn't say anything to correct her because I thought I'm not the park police. But one thing that it did, did really kind of speak to me is that people are drawn to God's creation.
Yeah,
It is so beautiful, and
it
we
is.
are we are so drawn to animals and to beautiful mountains and incredible trees and colors and streams, and it really does touch a part of us that it's because our creator, the creator that made us, made all of that.
Hmm.
And I think that it speaks to us. And so I don't blame her. She's like, if he comes closer, I'm gonna touch him. I thought, well, that's gonna end poorly. Please don't. But
Right.
I totally understand. And just like we were created to be in the Garden of Eden and to be surrounded by animals that were peaceful and loving, and we will again, I believe, be in a new earth, a new heavens, and there will be a time when the Bible says the lion will lie down with the lamb. And
Right.
so I think at that point you can touch it. You can touch them. So, but there's that yearning, that longing to
Yeah.
be with creation. I don't blame her at all.
Yeah. On this side, don't touch the lions or the elk
Right.
because I don't think this is going to end well. They're
Yeah.
docile until you cross a certain line, and then
Yes.
they're not. But I mean, I had a little bit of zoom on my lens, but they're not that far out there.
No.
And cars were coming and going, people were coming and going and walking, and most people knew just don't go out into the field.
Hmm.
As long as you stay on the edge, they know that you're not a danger, and you're fine. They're fine. Everybody's fine. This mom was kind of tending to the baby, and she kept doing it with her back to us. I kept waiting for her to turn around and face us while she was licking the baby or whatever she's doing, grooming it in some way, shape, or form. But she did not care to give me her better side too often. But this guy was pretty cool, and I kept waiting for him to raise his head. I wanted to get the shot with him, with his head
Hmm.
raised, looking around or whatever. We were there for probably 15 minutes.
Yep. I was gonna say 15 or 20.
He never lifted his head all the way.
Hmm.
He maybe lifted it 8 or 10 inches off the ground and moved and went right back to grazing. And so I never got that shot, but this one turned out decent, and I love the fall color in the
Oh
background.
my goodness, the colors in the background are just incredible. Purple and red and green and orange, yellow, brown. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Well, from there we went just a little bit further, and we found the Mountain Farm Museum at, I'm gonna mess this up, Oconaluftee Visitor Center,
I
which
was in Heritage Home Heaven.
yeah, you were. You were. But this is on the east side of the Smokies near Cherokee, North Carolina. And if you don't know, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, the highest point of the park is kind of, it's a ridge that kind of runs right through the middle, more or less, east to west.
Hmm.
It's on a northeast to southwest angle, but
Right.
about halfway through is, and the Appalachian Trail goes along that ridge, and it's also the dividing line between Tennessee and North Carolina. So it's kind of interesting how all that happens right down the middle of the park, or at least a lot of the dividing line between those two states. So anyway, when we got through the park on Highway 441, we were at the Oconaluftee Visitor Center, and yeah, you saw the farm, and I knew we were going to be stopping for a while.
Yeah.
So
And it was great. They had several buildings with this exhibit also. And it's probably all very similar. If you've seen one old farmhouse, you've probably seen them all. But again, just to imagine, I was gonna get me a bonnet, churn some butter. But they had some really cool things too. They had this like a little apple orchard maybe, and then they had it fenced in. At first, I thought it was to keep the chickens and the roosters in, and that's when I realized, oh no, they can just walk under this fence.
yeah,
It was to keep the elk out,
right.
to keep them from eating all the fruit trees. So, yeah, there were signs that just said just please shut the gate when you go in. So they weren't trying to keep people out. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, they had some pretty cool roosters, and
Yeah.
I don't know the name of this one, but he was quite something. And that was really the only animals they had, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
They
feel
may have had
like,
pigs at some point, but we didn't
yes.
see them.
I feel like this is probably the kind of thing where during the school year, maybe they bring kids out and they
Probably.
probably have like special days where they bring in the animals and they
Yeah.
set up, special exhibits and probably do home tours.
Probably
Yeah.
ponies or something.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
very,
so
very
there was a
fun.
lot there. There was a cool old barn, and it was interesting. The architecture I thought was interesting. How they had it set up with vents to let the air flow through.
Mm-hmm.
There was an especially interesting sign on the back of the barn. I'm not going to read all of that, but the idea was if you get caught vandalizing any of this stuff, you can get fined, and you could actually get up to a $5,000 fine and 6 months in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to be clever about it. Bob was here. Bob wrote his name on stuff, and Bob went to jail. So
Right.
don't be Bob.
Right.
And
Because we don't want to see all that.
you can see right next to the sign there people have scratched their name into that wood. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's all vandalized things. It's not you're not that important that your name needs to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's annoying. Well, here was just a scene um, at the farm. I liked the fall colors, of course, and the weathered fence and everything. I just thought that was really fun. You were going around sticking your head in all the buildings and trying to see how things worked and what was going on. And I was like, look, cool nature. We
And
were
a
both.
beautiful river. I don't know if you got the river.
I did. I like this chimney, the stonework, and I'm looking at the way people built things and how they put them all together with the wood and the stone but yeah, here's the
Yeah.
river. This is, I mean, it really was kind of in fall splendor. This is looking, I believe, well, I can't remember if this was upstream or downstream, but then this next shot is looking the other way. But it was a beautiful setting, that farm
Mm-hmm.
right on the river. And then before we got in the car and left, this was the view from really from the parking lot. Just the trees and the mountains in the distance and all smoke, all of the mist, the low clouds, the
It's gorgeous.
yeah,
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
yeah, it was really great. Well, we did a lot more on Tuesday, and we did some things on Wednesday as well. We're going to continue this on our next episode. Thank you for joining us. We had a great time. It's fun to talk about it. It's fun to show the pictures. We hope you're enjoying it, and maybe you could think about planning your trip to the Smokies, even if you don't live close. People come from all over. I believe it's the most visited national park in the United States, and
Wow.
there's a good
Yeah.
reason. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll. Okay.
Yeah, I went the whole episode without doing that. Because whatever you had when we were there, I think I have that down.
I'm sorry.
Worth it.
So worth it. All right. Well, we will see you next time.
All right, see ya.